I'm Russ Hampel. I'm the author of The Estate. And at this point, you've just read chapter 1. I'll just give a little recap. The chapter 1, we were introduced to Anna Collins. She's an archivist, the National Archives, and she has her whole life ahead of her. She's a vibrant runner, athletic girl, and she gets into a terrible car accident. She loses the use of her lower legs. Get grounded, get comfy, grab your favorite beverage, and let's get into chapter 2.
Chapter 2, The Interview. Keeping active and healthy was important to Anna, and she worked hard to stay in shape. After months of weight training, her biceps were bulging. It was like when someone loses their sight or hearing, and other senses become heightened. Lap swimming at a local pool also became a positive routine, her only way to get aerobic activity back in her life. The pool was cool against her skin as she lowered herself in. In the water, she felt weightless and free. It wasn't quite like running, but the endorphins were there. An aluminum ramp and stair lift had been added to accommodate her disability. Sitting in the stair lift was like a Disney ride, but not really nearly as fun. Anna protested the changes at first, convinced she would walk again. Unfortunately, the prognosis for walking was not good. Her doctors urged her to adapt to a life in a wheelchair. Recovery was extremely unlikely, though possible. Anna held out hope. Roger had been absent for about a week. She missed him terribly. Maybe he was tired of pushing poor crippled Anna around the house. Maybe he was dating someone else. Maybe he was just busy at work. She dreamed of him falling in love with her, yet she couldn't help feeling unworthy. Being hard on herself was what Anna did best. She spent 20 minutes wheeling herself around the halls of the estate just to hear the floorboards creak. Repetitive motion soothed her soul and kept her from wallowing in self-pity. Roger was a good man who had married his high school sweetheart. His colleagues at work held him in high esteem as a respectful leader and co-worker. Roger believed business success was a result of a collaborative team effort. Subordinates and superiors alike revered Roger as a man who got things done by embracing the power of collective experience. Like a great coach, he matched individual skill sets to the task at hand. Unfortunately, Roger had plateaued in his career. The positions ahead of him were political appointments, often filled with less qualified people. When Roger's wife, Grace, was diagnosed with cancer, his world came crashing down. He prayed and begged God to spare her, as he couldn't imagine life without her. He hid his anguish and stood steadfast by her side. He never loved anyone else and was certain he couldn't love another. He felt powerless as she ultimately slipped away. His future was also lost. They always had planned to have children, but that would never happen now. She died without ever having a child to love. Roger's next battle was with depression. He fought it for a long time, but eventually reached a point of acceptance with his loss. Part of him would always be missing, but he thanked God for the quality time he had with her. Roger's friends considered him a man's man, tall, athletic, confident, capable. The women in the office gossiped about his sky blue eyes and his new availability, but Roger never considered an office romance. Despite that, he admired Anna's can-do attitude and self-confidence. He thought she would make a major impact in the world someday. Since she worked directly for him, he never considered crossing that line by asking her out. It fell too soon, as he still wore his wedding ring a year after his wife's passing. When Roger found out about Anna's accident, he was devastated. He knew she was an athlete and her life would change drastically. He decided to help her any way he could. Unknown to her, he spent time beside her when she was in a coma, but didn't want to be there when she woke up. He was just her boss, nothing more. He prayed for her to come back and wanted the chance to get to know her. When she regained consciousness, he was overjoyed. When he thought of her, he didn't know what they would be together. If anything, she was on the sunny side of the hospital, and he always opened the curtains when he arrived. The sun was nice, but she had become the bright light of his visits. "Where have you been, Roger?" Anna asked with a half smile. I moved a pinky toe today and you missed it. I've been holding out for all 5 toes, he countered. She laughed. He had a dry sense of humor, and they both laughed a lot. He kissed her on the head and sat down. Work's been busy. Sorry I haven't been by. What's new, my friend? Anna perked up. Roger could sense her excitement. I finally found a home. How's that for good news? The seaside villa? I knew it, he responded. Sorry, dude. No beach, she laughed. Your loss. I usually wear a Speedo, Roger returned. I'm so glad I didn't have to see that, Anna replied. When this house came up on the search, I had an odd feeling. It looked familiar to me. Had I been there before? It was a weird feeling, and then it hit me. I've seen that house 100 times. It's on Clark Street, up on a hill. Clark Street was part of my runnings club routine. When I was always impressed with it. It looked like a home from another era, not in an Addams Family sort of way, but elegant. I also thought about running up to the driveway to take a closer look. But I thought better of it. I was a fast runner. But if they released the hounds, they would get me. Funny, right? I never saw any dogs there, though. I was meant to connect this house. It was calling me like a living thing. Anna looked lost in thought for a moment, then continued. Okay, I just had a Twilight Zone moment. Anna took a breath. It gets even better. You know how I like history, Roger, and this place has a lot of it. It was built in 1910 and has been owned by the same family ever since. The realtor said the last occupant passed, and his will was extremely specific on how the house should be sold. The profits are to go to Second Harvest, an organization that helps those in need of food. Here's the strangest thing. The executive wants to meet me. Maybe they just want to make sure I'm not a home flipper. The realtor said the family wants the house preserved. It comes with furniture and all the belongings left behind over the last 100 years. Wow, I'm so excited. Roger, being practical, asked, is this home a fixer-upper? And his eyes lit up. The best part is it's not. The roof, the plumbing, the electrical systems were recently renovated. I have the full report from the home inspector. The house sits on 7 acres with trails and a pond. It also has a glass-enclosed lap pool so I can swim. My God, Roger, is perfect for me. And oh, I almost forgot. It has a lift. I'll be able to go upstairs. You can take a virtual tour online to see more. It has 5 bedrooms, 4 baths, 2 fireplaces, and a library. It's a big house for one woman I know. My only concern is why it's priced so low. It's half of the value compared to comparable homes in the area. When I questioned the realtor, they said the quality of the buyer was more important than the price. Seemed too good to be true, right? Roger jumped in. I don't want to influence your decision, but it sounds wonderful. It's ideal for a history nerd like you and fits you in so many ways. Now I'm excited about it. It's not even my place. Anna's thoughts began to wander. Someday it will be his place too. She imagined him carrying across the threshold. Scratch that. She would walk across the threshold with him in her fantasy. Funny how he called her history nerd. Through their joking and banter, they became extremely comfortable with each other. At least they would become good friends. Anna made an offer on the home, and an interview was set up. Anna was nervous. It was an odd situation. It wasn't like she was interviewing for a job. Should she bring a resume? What should she say about herself? What should she keep secret, if anything? What if they rejected her because of her disability? What Anna didn't know was that the committee already knew a great deal about her. She wouldn't have granted an interview. She shouldn't have been granted an interview. She wasn't already a suitable candidate. While Anna was anxious about the interview, she couldn't wait to learn more about this fascinating place. Anna had always been super confident. She was also a natural beauty, a tall girl with long brown hair and sparkling eyes. Her long legs and fit body always gained her attention from men. She never thought looks were important, but it always gave her an ego boost when she got a lingering glance. Now she thought of herself as a shell of her former self, crippled and damaged. She knew better, but she often let dark, negative feelings get into her head. Maybe that was normal for people in her situation, but it was no excuse. With her mojo taking a hit, the upcoming interview terrified her. She wasn't going to stride into the office wearing a power business suit and a self-assured smile. She would be diminutively wheeling herself in. Roger took off from work the day of the interview to go in with Anna. She wanted him to be there because he was so instrumental in her home search. He was also her regular source of transportation. She didn't want her parents involved. She was an adult. The thought of her mommy and daddy overseeing her life was cringeworthy. She made her own decisions. However, she did allow Roger to chime in. He was smart. She trusted his judgment, and he would be a sanity check on this major purchase. The interview was scheduled for Sunday morning. When the day came, Anna hoped she and Roger could stroll, or in her case, roll, around the reflecting pool later. It was cherry blossom time again. Hard to believe it was a year to the day of her accident. The executive scheduled the interview. It seemed like an incredible coincidence. Did he know about her accident? Was this a mere coincidence? The previous year went by fast. Unfortunately, Anna had seen little physical improvement in her legs other than being able to wiggle her toes. That was something. Roger was strong enough to lift her in and out of the chair. It was their only physical contact, and she liked it. He did too. She could feel the warmth of his body on hers, and it was nice. She was getting extremely comfortable with him, and he was comfortable with her. She dreamed of him sharing her bed. It will happen, she thought.